Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Next Up. We're going to get into this topic area dealing with common causes of disease and how we can stop them. Now, we don't know everything about the causes of disease, but I want to talk to you about some of the common causes and how you and I can stop them. If there's anything that has been plaguing many homes, many families, many cultures, and societies, is this thing of chronic disease, degenerative disease. So today we're going to talk about some of the common causes and how we can stop them. Now, again, let me make it very clear, excuse me. I'm not giving you every cause because nobody knows every cause. But I want to talk about some of the common ones and how you and I can stop those causes from developing chronic disease that plagues our emotions, plagues our relationships, oh God, plagues our pocketbooks or wallets as well. Let's get into them. Some of the common causes. I'm going to give you somewhere around probably about 12 of these, again, common. They are things that we look at, we deal with, we see on a regular basis, and really don't put a strong enough focus on stopping them. All right. Well, first of all, you're not going to stop anything you don't have a deep awareness about. So I want to talk about some of these common causes and talk about how we can stop them. Number one on my list is malnutrition or the deficiency of nutrients. Listen to something that I saw some years ago research-wise, and here's what the statements said. Now, this is at least probably 15 years ago, at least. It said, the number of underfed and malnourished people in the world is 1.2 billion. Again, listen to this very carefully. The number of underfed and malnourished people in the world at that time was 1.2 billion people. Well, you can understand that if an individual is not eating, they're going to be malnourished. But in the same piece of information, it said there were the number of overfed people in the world and malnourished was 1.2 billion as well. Did you hear that? Overfed and still malnourished. First thought of that is, how can that be if you got plenty of food? We live in a country here in America and other nations that are following in our footsteps to where people are eating meals that look like something that the Flintstones would eat, you know. And I know that's a comic, but there's some good truths in a lot of these comics and movies and so forth that we have. So the Flintstones, they would eat a dinosaur. Even Bam Bam, the little boy, would eat a dinosaur's leg that looked like something just ginormous. I know there may not be such a word, but you get where I'm coming from. It was huge. We're eating plates of foods that are so stacked up in America, you would think that we would be okay. You would think that we would be well nourished. Not so. It depends on the quality of that food, how that food was raised. So again, these two pieces of data, the number of underfed and malnourished people in the world at that time was 1.2 billion, and the number of overfed people in the world, overfed, and malnourished was 1.2 billion people. Let's get deeper into that. How can that be? Well, we have to consider soil contamination or soil depletion, or the soil just not having what it needs to produce high quality, nutrient dense food. Listen to this article from 1936, Senate document 264. And here are some of the statements out of that document. Anemic Earth. Anemic Earth was written in 1936 and submitted as part of a congressional investigation into U.S. farming practices. The leading authorities of the day had been sounding the alarm that depleted soils were causing a significant decline in the nation's health, evidenced by a steady increase in degenerative disease. Listen very carefully. In the article, Dr. Charles Northern said, countless human ills stem from the fact that impoverished soil, remember what I said to you earlier about soil contamination or soil depletion. Dr. Charles Northern said, countless human ills stem from the fact that impoverished soil of America no longer provides plant foods with the mineral elements essential to human nourishment and health. Again, I repeat a part of that statement. No longer impoverished soil in America no longer provides plant foods with the mineral, pay very close attention, mineral elements essential to human nourishment and health. Let me pump the brakes and make this statement. The body, by design of God, our Creator, is made up of more minerals than vitamins. Both are necessary, but I'm talking about how we were framed, how we were designed, how we were put together. We were put together with a need for more minerals than vitamins. Again, both of them are extremely necessary. If they were not necessary, then God wouldn't have made our bodies up of the minerals and the vitamins, and of course, the need for proteins and fats. All right? The article goes on to say, most of us today, good people, this is 1936 when this article was written. Dear God, you could only imagine, well, we see. I'm saying that as a figure of speech. If it was this way in 1936, what about today? And we wonder why degenerative disease is so rampant. We wonder why so many people are malnourished after eating big meals, as well as those who eat maybe every other day because of a lack of food. We wonder why, particularly with those that are, again, just jam-packing the plates 2-3 hours later, hungry again. How can these things be? Well, I'm sharing some of the ways that these things are happening. Let's go back to the article. Dr. Northern went on to say, most of us today in 1936 are suffering from certain dangerous diet deficiencies, which cannot be remedied until the depleted soils 1936, in 1936, he says, cannot be remedied until the depleted soils from which our foods come are brought into proper mineral balance. Something was going on in 1936 that was depleting the soil from these necessary minerals in particular. What about today? Well, we have an idea of today. When we consider all of the synthetic fertilizers, the glyphosate, other chemicals that are put on the soils. You see, it wasn't like that. Well, it's been like that for a while, according to this article. But I want to make this statement. I can remember the day raised up on the farm when the chemicals that were put out there on the fields to raise the food, guess what the chemical was? Some of you that are around my age, you know what some of those chemicals were, like wood ash or manure. Oh, yes, it was amazing. Now, I didn't like the thought of it then, that you would put manure out on a field, from which fruits and vegetables would be grown. But I'm telling you, the wisdom of that natural stuff, I guess it was loaded with minerals, the manure, and what it did to produce the tastiest, wholesome, delicious collards and cabbage. Oh my God, my mind is just triggered back to the taste of collards and cabbages in those days, and other vegetables and fruit as well. They were so tasty. Nowadays, a lot of this stuff tastes like plastic. You don't taste the richness of the minerals and the vitamins and other nutritious items in those foods today in America like we used to do back in the then. I just got off the phone a few moments ago talking with a friend. He played basketball in Greece, in Japan, in other countries. And he talked about the taste of the foods, the quality of the foods that he ate there in Greece, eating the quote, Mediterranean diet. He said, Doc, man, it was so enriching. I played ball for a number of years to only come back to America and go through what he was going through biologically because of not getting the nutrient-dense food like what he got in Greece, Japan, and the other country that he played basketball in. Let's go back to the article. So the doctor, Charles Northern, went on to say, it is bad news. Let me make sure I covered all the other. Yeah, he went on to say, it is bad news to learn from our leading authorities. 1936 now, keep that in mind, that 99% of American people are deficient in these minerals, necessary minerals to be in the soil from which our food comes from. 99% of American people are deficient in these minerals. And here's what's so alarming as well. And that, he said, a marked deficiency in a marked deficiency in any one or more of the important minerals actually results in disease. I'm going to quote that again. It is bad news to learn that from our leading authorities that 99% of American people are deficient in these minerals, quite a few in other words, and that a marked deficiency in any one or more of the important minerals actually results in disease. This is a heavy one. Number one, as a common cause of degenerative disease and how we can stop them. We're going to talk about how we can stop these problems. All right. Some of those important minerals are minerals that we're familiar with, such as calcium, the most plenteous mineral in the human body, necessary for a whole lot of bodily functions. That one mineral has to deal with your bone development, how strong your bones are going to be, along with other minerals too. It has a lot to do with what I would say the peace in your body. It is a calming, relaxing mineral. Then another important mineral is magnesium, that we found out that many people are low on. Magnesium, I take it every day as a supplement. We're going to have a podcast talking about why we need to supplement, why we need to give our food some help. And that's what a supplement is, something that gives assistance and some help. So another important mineral, let me go back to magnesium. Magnesium is so powerful too for helping the body relax, helping those blood vessels be elastic, if you would, and just giving relaxation as well to the body. I take it every night, and I usually take it somewhere around an hour or so, or at least a half an hour before I'm going to sleep, and just a little bit of water. And I'm telling you, you talk about something that helps put you into that sedated la land state. Magnesium. Now, you're going to have to spend time looking at some of the other benefits of it. I'm just kicking out a little information. Potassium, we call it the youth mineral. Many people are missing in the good quantity of potassium that's needed for the body. I really keep my eyes heavily on calcium, magnesium, and potassium. And one reason why, among many, but one, is to make sure I keep my blood pressure intact. I'm telling you, these guys do wonders. They help regulate blood pressure, as well as a lot of other factors in the body as well. Then there's iron. Many people complain about iron or low energy. Well, have you considered the iron in your body? Zinc, another important one. And I even take a zinc supplement daily as well to assist with protecting the health and feeding the health of my prostate gland. Please excuse me. And of course, zinc has other reasons too, all right? Other purposes. Chromium is another one of those important minerals that Dr. Northern, 1936, was emphasizing. Chromium, one of those guys that help assist in energy, in helping to regulate blood sugar. And then I've already mentioned iron once. I just wrote it down on my paper twice. But these are some of those important, necessary minerals that Dr. Northern was talking about in 1936 that was missing in the soil, and ending up the results of these minerals missing, he said, was a disease. Senate document 264, again, 1936. What about today? Just look around. There's not a hospital that I know of, and probably you know of as well, in America that's hurting for business. No, they are in operation every day. Of course, we got 300 some million people, but there's not a hospital hurting for business. Hospitals have plenty of business. Well, I have a goal not to give the hospital business. You know, I have a goal to meet with my doctor once a year wisely for a checkup. My goal, my personal goal, now we all have our personal goals. Mine is health wise, be in charge of your health. Do the right things to protect and promote your health, my health, so I won't have to spend X amount of time fighting disease. I just don't like that. I like being able to sleep well, to live well, to be well. I like that versus having to fight all these ordeals. Wow, now I've spent some time talking about number one on my list of common causes of disease. Well, what can you do about number one? Add some supplements to your diet. Check out the quality of your food that you're ingesting. Get an app like the Yuka, Y-U-K-A app. And before you pick that item up and or take that item home with you, take that Yuka app, scan the back of that package, that can, that box, or that package, or anything that has a label. Scan the back of it with the Yuka, Y-U-K-A app. And it's one of, I don't know how many that might be out there, but it'll tell you the quality of the food that you're about to put in your grocery basket. All right? So that is a solution. Those things that I've just mentioned are solutions to dealing with malnutrition. Know the quality of the food that you're putting in. You want to make sure as much as possible. Can't guarantee perfectness. No, I cannot and will not guarantee perfectness as far as foods are concerned. But at least I can do something about the malnutrition. Okay? Number two, a second cause, common cause of disease that we can stop is dehydration. Do you drink enough water? Are you trying to get by throughout a given day with 1 cup of water, 2 cups of water? In summertime, and you're only drinking 1 cup of water, it's not going to work. Over a period of time, you may find yourself dehydrated. And by the way, those of us that are getting older and feel like, I don't really have the thirst for water like I used to have. Well, it doesn't mean that you stop drinking the water. I've learned over the years, and I think this is a good protocol, to determine how much water your body needs. Whatever your weight is, convert that into half. Let's say I usually weigh somewhere around 170 pounds. Well, half of 170 is 85. Because of my 5'7" frame, weighing 170 pounds, I need about 85 ounces of water on a daily basis. Somebody who's 6'4", 240 pounds is going to need more water than what this 5'7", 170-pound frame needs. So whatever your body weight is, cut it in half, convert it into ounces. In my case, 170 pounds, half of that is 85. I need approximately 85 ounces of water a day to keep me out of dehydration that leads to other ordeals. All right, so dehydration is a common cause of sickness and disease, and you and I can do something about it. Simply drink more water. And it doesn't necessarily mean I've got to have 85 ounces of just plain water. What about the water content that I get out of my fruits and my vegetables if I'm getting a substantial amount of those on a regular daily basis? All right. So dehydration, the way to deal with that, the way to stop it, drink more water, get more water out of your fruits and your vegetables. And there are other protocols that you can put into place. Like I have liquid regimens that include beetroot, of course, in water, that include turmeric in water, of course. I don't take these items dry. And other liquid protocols that I go through throughout the day. All right. A third common cause of disease and how we can deal with it is toxicity. We need to determine, is what I'm eating loaded with toxins? I want to ask you these questions. Have you ever heard of azotic carbonamide, atrazine, bisphenol A, red number 4, or yellow number 6? Well, these items are in some of our foods. Yes, azotic carbonamide. Azotic carbonamide was, now note I'm saying was, in Subway's 9-grain bread until they took it out. What? Are you kidding me? Oh, the 9-grain bread sounds great. Sounds like grain bread. Sounds like something you want to eat, right? But Subway had it in its bread and they took it out. Thank God they took it out. And I know that they took it out. Some of you may know that they took it out because they had a national commercial. This is, oh my God, in between 15 and 20 years ago. I saw the national commercial. Subway took it out. Well, they took it out, but it's not out of all breads. Well, what is that, Dr. Ellison? You need to go and look it up. So you have a substantial amount of information so that you can make a wise decision on what you want to put in your body. Azotic carbonamide, atrazine, bisphenol A, and some of these other chemicals that are on the labels. Read the labels. Use your smartphone to get some information about what the substances are. You see, I'm just leery of eating food items that's got a long list of ingredients. I mean, it's just long. Why can't it just be simple? You see, we don't see this long list of ingredients on garlic, on an apple, on cauliflower, on bananas. You know, it's not loaded with 30, 40 ingredients. Now, I may be stretching it just a little bit, but I'm telling you, you and I both have seen some of these food items, just a long list of ingredients in that item. Number 4. Now, what do we do about the toxicity? How do we stop it? Use that app or some app. Know the ingredients. Know what you're bringing in to this chemical factory, because everything you eat is a chemical or drink is a chemical. Your body is like a chemical factory, breaking down chemicals. I like to say it like this. If the chemical makeup of what you put in or on your body doesn't match the chemical makeup of your body. See, God made the body with the chemicals that he made. All right? You and I came out of the ground just like the fruit and the vegetables are supposed to be coming out of the ground. Not all fruit and vegetables are equal, because not all fruit and vegetables come from a plant as something developed from the ground. Some of these fruits and vegetables nowadays are coming out of a plant or a factory. They're not being produced in the ground like it has been for years. So you need to know what you're bringing in the house. Number 4, excessive stress or stress unmanaged. Now, we're all going to deal with stress. I mean, that's just a part of what's in our world, stress. But controlling it is another thing. Backing away, pulling away, having self-care, me time, stopping the worry, controlling the emotions, so we can keep the stress down, because excessive stress uncontrolled, can lead to physiological as well as psychological and emotional ordeals. All right? So you can control it. I love what the scriptures tells us. Think on these things. We're talking about controlling stress now, and thoughts, and how you can assist in controlling stress with your thoughts. Think on these things that are lovely, pleasant, of a good report. Think on those things. All right? But by all means, do what you got to do to manage and to control stress. You're not going to stop it, but you can manage it. You can control it. We were created to be in control. And with God's help, all things are possible. Number 5, we're talking again about common causes of disease and how we can stop them. Number 5 is a lack of exercise. Well, how do I deal with that? Don't be lazy. Set a plan to give your body some movement, some exercise. I have my regimen or regimens that I go through on a daily basis, giving my body some exercise. All right? Now, you choose your own. If you want to go to the gym, if you want to do whatever, but by all means, give this body some exercise. It is one of the best medicines that you can give the body. I don't have to talk a lot about that. You know the importance of it, or you have knowledge of the importance of exercise and how valuable it is. Number 6, irregular bowel movements. Now, this is really a big one. The number of people I have counseled with, and no doubt you are aware of, that have bowel movements every other day. I've ran into individuals in my seminars, counseling sessions, that say, I have a bowel movement once a week. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? But it was a reality. And of course, I gave some information to this one individual. I met her at a seminar a few weeks later, ran up to me, Dr. Ellison, I'm having 2 and 3 bowel movements a day. Well, what did she do? Drank more water, ate more fibery food, backed up on a lot of this processed food that's out there. And I think I gave her a liquid regimen, and it was off to the races. All right, irregular bowel movement. So what can I do about that? I just mentioned it. Get that water in. Get those raw foods in your diet. Fibery foods in your diet. Number 7. And there's something you can do about number 7. Number 7 on my list is ignorance. You can do something about that, like you're doing right now, those of you that are watching this podcast. Gain knowledge. Your health is governed by what you know. 3 John verse 2 says, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, but it happens to the degree that the soul prospers. Number 8 are our habits. What do you eat on a regular basis? How do you exercise, or do you exercise? What are your lifestyle habits like? Do you eat steak and potatoes 10:30 at night with collard greens and whatever else. Habits. You determine your habits. Number 9, traditions. Works like this. Baseball is associated to certain food items. When you go to the movies, there's a certain food item, popcorns and sodas. All right, we're talking about traditions. We used to have a tradition at the first of the year of eating hog head and black-eyed peas. I'm like, who in the world came up with that said I have to eat a hog's head and used to do it traditionally? All right, hog head and black-eyed peas and fried catfish, all types of traditions. Take a look at your traditions. Determine whether your traditions are serving the promotion of your health or not. Number 10, food additives. Again, using that app like the Yuka app or whichever one that you might have knowledge of to help you determine what's in your food or how nutritious your food is. All right? So that you can avoid these chemicals that I mentioned earlier, like the dyes, the glyphosate, the azotocarbonamide, atrazine, bisphenol A. You probably aware of some of these food items. Avoid them as much as possible. Number 11, and you can do something about it. Foods cooked to pieces. Just don't cook them to pieces. Don't cook your broccoli, your carrots, your cauliflower, and other food items like that. Just don't cook them to pieces. Now, of course, you're going to cook certain foods longer than others, like your beans and maybe your collards, unless you're eating your collards raw. I've had raw collards. I'd never thought I'd eat a raw collard, but the way this person dressed up that food item, that wrap with collards, and I'm thinking afterwards, I literally ate a raw collard leaf. Now, that was foreign to me to do that, all right? But my point is, try not to cook certain food items to pieces in particular. And lastly, and we've been talking about common causes of disease that we can stop. Now, there's something we just don't know about until we find out about it, of course, but I wanted to share with you just some common causes. And I'm going to close with number 12, which is really one of my favorite too. And you can really do something about this one. And that is the stewardship of your body, of your health. You determine whether you're going to be a good steward or a bad steward. Meaning, I got to stay on top of things. Why? Because you and I were created to be managers, first and foremost, of our own selves. Your spiritual self, your physiological self, your emotional, mental self, your relationships. You get to determine these things. In closing, listen to what Solomon said, the wisest man that ever lived, in Proverbs chapter 24, verse 30. We're talking about stewardship. He said, I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. All right, notice two pieces of responsibility: the field and the vineyard of two different people. Number one, the slothful man. It's apparent that a slothful individual, not quick on their toes, not diligent to watch over what's been put under their stewardship, his stewardship, or her, I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. Well, what's the remedy? Don't be slothful and get understanding. In this case, as to why you need to drink that water, why you need those vegetables, why you don't want to consume a lot of fried foods. But I try not to consume any. And if I did, it's like every 600 years. I'm speaking from, of course, Grandpa on the Monsters, that show that I love so much. One of those funny shows of the past. He went on to say, and lo, the vineyard and the field was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. All right? So the stone wall, the protection for the field or the vineyard or the garden, whatever it might be, was all torn down. Why? Because the managers had not been on top of their job. Thorns and nettles had grown all over the place. In other words, it hadn't been manicured because there was poor stewardship. Proverbs chapter 27:23, I believe it is, says, look well. Let me just turn there to that. Yeah, here it is, the next page over. Proverbs 27:23, we're still talking about stewardship and how it can be a common cause or lack thereof. Stewardship can be a common cause for the development of sickness and disease. But here's what Proverbs 27:23 says. Be diligent to know the state of your flocks, or simply said, what's under your responsibility. If you are a shepherd, then you were responsible to know the state of your flocks. And look well to your herds. In other words, examine them. I read a statement some years ago that said the unexamined life is not worth living, or you won't get the best out of life if you don't examine. People don't get the best out of basketball games, football games, if they don't huddle. Take an examination of the last few plays to see what made us successful or unsuccessful. Why we're not shooting a high amount of free throws or three-pointers or what have you. We've got to be on top of our game. All right, so look well to your herds. Be diligent to know the state. Know the state of your flocks and the condition of your herds. So going back to Proverbs 24, verse 32. And this is my second closing. I'll usually take about 3. Here's what it says. Then I saw and considered well. I looked upon this person's vineyard and field, and I received instruction. And here's the instruction. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, and so shall your poverty come as one that is a robber, and your want as an armed man. In other words, what you were given stewardship over will come to nothing. Nettles and weeds and all these type things all over the place because of poor stewardship. You are the steward. I am the steward over the bodies that our Creator has given unto us. It's going to be as healthy as your knowledge and your stewardship of what God has given you. Got to stop right there. I want to encourage you to assist you in your stewardship to get a copy of my book entitled Insights for Healthy Living and Weight Control. Insights for Healthy Living and Weight Control. And you can get your copy by going to my website, ellisonsconsulting.com, and put in a request right there and get your copy of Insights for Healthy Living and Weight Control. You can do it. Thank you again for your time and your attention, and also subscribing, liking, and sharing the Next Up podcast. Dear people, I look forward to seeing you next time on Next Up. Have a great rest of your night, evening, or your day. God bless.